The morning shattered with a bellow that could wake the Diada primal, furious chorus of 32 cows trapped in a barn that hadn't opened at dawn. I, Lucas Tanner, third-generation dairy farmer, bolted out of bed, heart hammering, bare feet hitting the cold floorboards of my 130-year-old farmhouse. No time for coffee, no time for boots. I grabbed the feed bucket and sprinted across the dew-soaked yard, the grass biting my soles. That's when I saw it. A silver Cadillac Escalade, license plate screaming Queen Bee, parked like a barricade across both barn doors. My cows were rioting inside, hooves pounding, udders swollen, and my patience already frayed-snapped like a brittle twig. This was my land, 100 acres of pasture and pride, carved out by my great-grandfather after the Civil War. But the world had crept closer, sprouting cul-de-sacs with names like Serenity Pines. And with it came Beatrice Langston, self-anointed ruler of the Serenity Pines Homeowners Association, who'd been waging a quiet war against my farm since she arrived 5 months ago in that same Cadillac, her stucco mansion looming just beyond my fence. Yesterday, it was a typed note under my door, whining that my rustic fence was tarnishing community aesthetics. The day before, a pamphlet titled Suburban Progress, MOVYing beyond outdated farms landed in my mailbox. I'd burned it with a chuckle. But this? Parking her SUV to block my barn, my cows, my life's work? This was no note. This was war. I circled the Cadillac, breath fogging in the chilly air. Locked tight, a yoga mat on the passenger seat, a lukewarm latte sweating in the cup holder. No Beatrice. Just her car, smug as a throne, choking my morning routine. The cow's bellows grew desperate, led by Matilda, my lead Holstein, whose low, judgmental moo could curdle milk. I dialed Beatrice straight to voicemail, her syrupy voice promising a prompt reply. I didn't bother. Instead, I called Pete's towing. "Luke, I get it," Pete said, voice crackling. "But that gravel's HOA shared. Can't tow without a sheriff's order or a fire hazard. Pete, my cows are about to blow. She's blocking my barn. File a report, man." My hands are tied. I hung up, phone hot in my hand. Matilda's moo hit a new pitch, a warning she was minutes from flooding the barn. I met her glare through the window. "All right," I muttered, hands up. "We'll move the mountain." The rear barn doors, opening onto a muddy slope to the lower pasture, hadn't been used for morning release in years. Too steep, too slick. But I had no choice. I yanked on boots, fired up the John Deere, and rumbled to the back. The air smelled of diesel and damp earth as I looped heavy chains around the Cadillac's axle. Beatrice's car gleamed in the dawn, waxed to perfection. No one parks like that by mistake. She meant this. I eased the tractor into reverse, the tow strap taut. The SUV groaned, tires grinding gravel, then sinking into the Cowpens muck. 5 minutes later, it sat in the pen's center, surrounded by ankle-deep mud. I unhitched, swung open the rear doors, and 32 cows burst out like freed prisoners. Matilda led, snorting as she fogged the driver's window. Clementine nibbled the mirror. Hazel kicked mud onto the hood, and Daisy climbed the rear bumper, denting it. From the barn loft, I watched the Cadillac become a canvas of slobber, hoof prints, and one steaming pile of manure on the roof. I laughed until my sides hurt. Then came the scream sharp, theatrical, like a soap opera climax. Beatrice stood at my driveway's edge, designer coat flapping, blonde bob frizzing. Her eyes locked on her car, now a barnyard relic, and her mouth hung open for 10 seconds. Then, with a stomp that splattered her boots, she jabbed a finger at me. "This is vandalism. A lawsuit." I leaned on the loft railing, coffee mug finally in hand. "Park in a VY cider spot next time." Her jaw dropped. The cows mooed like they were clapping. Beatrice didn't retreat. She stood in the muck, dialing her phone with the urgency of a 911 call, spitting words like criminal and hazard. Matilda leaned harder on the hood, groaning. I whistled the cows to the pasture, dragging Daisy off the bumper. Using the tractor, I towed the SUV out of the pen and parked it by the gate, its shine dulled by mud and scratches. I expected a breather, But Beatrice had other plans. An hour later, 3 golf carts rolled up, Serenity Pines logos gleaming like badges. Beatrice led, flanked by Marjorie, an HOA secretary with a permanent scowl, and Carl, a quiet retiree who nodded to avoid trouble. Beatrice dismounted, clutching a notebook. "This man," she declared, loud enough for neighbors' curtains to twitch, "endangered our community and unleashed aggressive livestock." "Aggressive?" I said from my porch, sipping coffee. "They're cows, not bears." Marjorie read from a clipboard, Section 12B. Livestock must not encroach on communal areas. Her car was on my property, blocking my barn, I said, pointing. "That gravel's shared." Beatrice snapped. I walked to my fence, tapped a survey marker from 1965. "I went up to that culvert. Your car was over my line." I measured. Carl shifted. Beatrice flushed red. "The sheriff will handle this," she hissed. "Called him," I said. "He said document everything. Got the tow on VY Deo. Want a copy?" Marjorie and Carl glanced at each other. Beatrice whispered something sharp, and after empty threats, they retreated. But I knew she'd escalate. Sure enough, next morning, a neon green notice was taped to my gate. Non-compliant barn roof color. My barn was Red Barn Red, iconic. This was spite. Notices piled up. Noise before 7 a.m. Hank, my rooster. Unapproved signage, my farm sign. Unauthorized structures, my ancient chicken coop. I filed them in a folder. Beatrice's war. The best EVY Denke came on day 4. A kid in a cheap security uniform stood at my gate. A VY aider's slipping, clipboard in hand. "Restricted access," he said. "HOA orders. Farm traffic needs approval." "You're on my driveway," I said. "Non-compliant operations," he muttered. I recorded him. This Indy VY duels obstructing a legal farm on private property. No badge, no authority. "Leave, or I call the sheriff." He fled. Minutes later, Beatrice paced her porch, phone to ear, fuming. She was losing, and I was done playing defense. I called my cousin, Sarah, a county AG inspector. I requested a surprise inspection to prove my farm was flawless. Sarah arrived with a clipboard and a news crew filming a local farming segment. Beatrice watched as Sarah praised my operation. "Cleaner than most pet stores," she said loudly. Beatrice's face could have cracked granite. That night, in my dad's old file box, I found a 1958 map showing an easement through Beatrice's property still active, never sold. Her driveway and fountain sat on my land. I called Ray, a surveyor friend, who confirmed it. Her driveway extended 8 feet into my easement. She was trespassing. I hired an attorney, sent a cease and desist, and filed for a county boundary re-VYEW. Beatrice went silent for 3 days, no patrols, no notices. The cows grazed closer to her fence, sensing VY Tory. But she rallied, posting flyers. Farmer threatened Serenity. She held a lawn meeting, ranting about my rogue cows. Only 10 neighbors showed, half for snacks. When Tom Haskell, HOA VYC president, asked, "Beatrice got a permit for that driveway?" her stammer was louder than her megaphone. That night, an anonymous envelope held HOA chat screenshots. Beatrice wrote, "I blocked his barn to teach him a lesson. I sent it to my attorney and shared copies with neighbors." The next day, her fountain was jackhammered for encroachment. Beatrice screamed, but no one listened. A neighbor clapped. I planned my final move, a community farm day, to celebrate what Beatrice tried to erase. Flyers went up Tanner Farm Day. Hay rides, milking, cider permits secured. Neighbors volunteered. Kids for face painting, retirees for lemonade, the librarian for story time. The day was perfect, clear skies, kids chasing chickens, a band playing bluegrass. Sarah's vet friends taught animal care. Ray grilled in a meat inspector apron. Beatrice arrived at noon, in white, clutching a binder. "This VY OLAT's ordinances," she hissed. "Permits filed, sheriff's fine. HOA and VY Ted," I said. "Cider." She froze as a kid ran by in a Beatrice can't movie me shirt. A news crew filmed me by the well, kids petting a calf. Beatrice tried cornering Tom, but he walked away. Then, storming off, she tripped over Hank, landing in a compost wheelbarrow. Laughter erupted. Someone filmed it. By night, HOA Queen's farm flop was VY 40,000 VYUs. That night, under the stars, the farm hummed with peace. Beatrice was gone in a week. Her house sold to a couple who loved the cows. I hung a sign, private farm. Park here, get milked. The tow strap hangs in the barn, a reminder. Don't mess with a farmer, his cows, or his land. The cows never forget. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.